This week of SportChaser, we dive into the NFL's most surprising individual performances, a Sunday Night Football clash that was taken a little too literally, and the most important takeaways from the first week of the NHL season. All this and more coming right up on SportChaser. Welcome back once again to SportChaser with Chase Sotsky. Here we are today talking about week 6 of the NFL, and we're going to start out with the big three yet again. My three biggest games of the week. This first one, Colts versus the Cardinals. And I know what you may be thinking. Why would this be one of the games of the week? Kyler Murray didn't play. James Conner's out. Trey Benson's out. The Cardinals lost to the Titans last week. Why is this the game of the week? Well, the answer is I don't know, but it is. Jacoby Brissett came in for Kyler Murray and looked phenomenal. He dropped 320 yards to go along with 2 touchdowns on the day. He threw an interception as well, but he looked great. And Marvin Harrison Jr., he did go down with an injury, but Trey McBride stepped up big time. The big boy tight end was able to haul in 8 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. And even with these big performances, the Colts were still supposed to destroy the Cardinals. But what happened? The Cardinals were not only able to hold their own, they were able to hold a lead for much of the second half. That was until the Colts swung things back around and ended up taking the lead and the win in this one. How did they do so? Let's find out. Well, once again, it started with Jonathan Taylor. On the day, he had 21 carries, 123 yards, and a touchdown. Nearly 6 yards per carry. That is unbelievable. As well as Daniel Jones, who was able to rush one into the end zone to get a score, as well as throwing 2 more on the day. He also had an interception, but he threw for over 200 yards. He looked good. Colts looked good, and they got the win. But this one was the tight end battle. Trey McBride, I just said he looked great for the Cardinals. It was Tyler Warren of the Colts who was the guy who stepped up big time for Daniel Jones when he needed to find somebody. He had 6 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown on the game. And this one went back and forth for a while. But the Colts, early in the fourth quarter, were able to tie this game at 24 with a touchdown pass from Daniel Jones to Josh Downs. And later in the game, with just under 5 minutes to go, it was Jonathan Taylor who was able to knock in the final score, winning this one 31-27 for the Colts. The second game of the week, Chargers versus the Dolphins. Another one where you're like, why is this the game of the week? The Dolphins, they just looked good. They actually were able to hold their own and hold the lead for all the way through the first half into midway through the third quarter. The Chargers were finally able to capitalize and take the lead midway through the third quarter with a touchdown from McConkey. And even though they were able to take the lead and extend it, the Dolphins were able to storm back downfield with just under a minute to go. And the Chargers, who had the lead less than a minute left, Dolphins in the red zone. Tua looks right, throws it to none other than his new favorite tight end, Darren Waller, to take the lead. But don't you count out the Chargers just yet. Herbert evades pressure, connects with McConkey, who breaks a tackle and gets the Chargers into field goal range where the kick is up and good. Chargers win this game on the final kick. Wow, what a performance from these two teams. For the Dolphins, Tua had too many turnovers, 3 interceptions on the day, only 1 passing touchdown. That's not what you want if you're the Dolphins and you want to win these games, especially at home and early in the season when we know the Dolphins have had success in the past, because we know later on in the season they tend to struggle a little bit. But Devon Achane, he is so good. He averaged 8 yards per carry on the day, 128 yards on just 16 carries to go along with 2 touchdowns. He is the true difference maker for this Miami Dolphins offense, despite the fact that Jalen Waddle had 6 receptions for 95 yards. But on the flip side, it was Kamani Vidal. I said last week that the Dolphins, their biggest struggle is defending the run, and the Chargers just had Najee Harris and Amarian Hampton go out with injuries. Who was going to be the guy to step up? It was Kamani Vidal. He looked great. Despite his lack in size, Vidal was able to put up 124 yards on the ground as well as a receiving touchdown on the day. He looked great, and he really showed that this Dolphins defense has no answer for the run game, no matter who it is who's rushing the ball, ending their losing streak and moving to 4-2. And the third and final of these big 3 games was the Cowboys versus the Panthers. The revenge game for Rico Dowdle did not disappoint. After a dominant performance last week from Dowdle, he repeated that once again, putting up another game of over 200 yards from scrimmage. Dowdle is becoming maybe the best running back in the league. That might be a stretch, but he has looked phenomenal these last 2 weeks with Chuba Hubbard out, and the Carolina Panthers now have their offense settled. We know that this Cowboys offense has looked great even without CeeDee Lamb, and that they have been able to put up numbers against even the best defenses in the league. And they did that once again today. Dak Prescott had 261 yards and 3 touchdowns, while George Pickens was his lead receiver, 9 receptions, 168 yards to go along with a touchdown. These two have a real connection, making George Pickens one of the greatest additions this entire offseason. But the reason that the Cowboys were unable to pull out this game with a win was because of Rico Dowdle. Bryce Young looked good on the day too. 199 yards, that's okay. But he had 3 passing touchdowns, 2 of which to the rookie Teteroa McMillan, who looked great. Despite not putting up the numbers we're used to seeing from him, he was able to finally get into the end zone, not once, but twice on the day. And this game was no blowout. This game went back and forth the entire time. Early in the game, it started slow, but it built up all the way until we got to a point where we were seeing the Cowboys score. The Panthers take the lead. Then the Cowboys come back, take the lead. And once again, the Panthers in the end were able to get the final score and win this game. Beating the Dallas Cowboys, moving to 500 on the season. They are undefeated at home, making them a potential wildcard threat. And that wraps up the big 3, and it's time to move into my Sunday Shockwave, my biggest shock of Week 6 in the NFL. But before I do, 2 honorable mentions. 1, Jacoby Brissett. Oh my goodness. I just mentioned it earlier. He had 320 passing yards on the day. Coming in for Kyler Murray on somewhat short notice, Jacoby Brissett looked phenomenal in this game. He is one of my big honorable mentions. And my other, the Detroit Lions. I am very disappointed, Detroit. I had high expectations for you coming into this week, and you really disappointed me. I was expecting you to show me that the Kansas City Chiefs defense is not legit, yet you proved the opposite. You proved that their defense might actually be turning it around, and that's something that I'll be talking about a little bit later. But the Detroit Lions, who have one of the best offenses in the entire league, didn't show it this past Sunday night. And in fact, not only didn't show it, their defense didn't show me anything either. They allowed the Kansas City Chiefs to put up 30 points on them while only scoring 17. That is not what you expect from a team who has Super Bowl aspirations playing against a team who has struggled this season so far. Detroit, step it up. And this poor game even lasted after the final whistle, as the chaos that came at the end of this game was just ridiculous. Brian Branch should be suspended from this, and he probably will get a suspension for his instigation in this chaos. But the Detroit Lions need to step it up, because that is a game that you need to have in order to push for the postseason. But my Sunday Shockwave is Cam Scatterbo and the New York Giants. They played on Thursday night against the Eagles, who I said before this week had a lot of struggles on both sides of the ball. I told you what they were, and the Giants were able to exploit all of them. Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart looked phenomenal in this game. Scatterbo had 98 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. Dart had 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground and 1 in the air. But Cam Scatterbo just had the game of his life. Giants fans finally have hope for the first time in a long time. And Cam Scatterbo, not only is he proving to be maybe the best running back in his draft class, but maybe a top 10 running back in the entire league. His future is bright, and the Giants were able to defeat last year's division champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, in a primetime showdown for the first time in a long time, making Cam Scatterbo this week's SportChaser Shockwave. Before we move into the NHL, there's one more thing that I have to ask you. What did we learn? What did we learn this week in the NFL, and where does that go from here? We start out with Sunday Night Football and the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Detroit Lions. Kansas City, they have their swagger back. Watch out, AFC. Watch out, NFL. This is not something I expected us to be saying this early in the season, but they do. And they looked good against the Detroit Lions. Mahomes and company ran up the score. In their last 3 weeks, they've put up a combined 95 points against opponents. That is a real turnaround for Mahomes and company, as in the first 3 weeks, they did not look great. And Rashee Rice is back now. I said before, if they were 2-4 when Rashee Rice came back and still struggling on defense, that it might not look good for them to make the playoffs. But now they're back to 500. Rashee Rice is returning, and their defense is looking good. They're healthy. Mahomes is looking like an MVP candidate once again. The Chiefs are back. Watch out. Their run game struggled early on in this season, but Patrick Mahomes is taking matters into his own hands. He is the team's leading rusher with 222 yards, as well as 4 rushing touchdowns. That is a career high for him, and he's done it in just 6 games. And on top of that, he has the 6th most passing yards in the league and the 5th most passing touchdowns in the league. This team might just get a little bit scarier once Rashee Rice returns, and this team might go far once again. What we learned this week is that the Chiefs, they're back. So watch out, because they're coming. And moving on from one MVP candidate to another in Baker Mayfield. And not only is Baker Mayfield an MVP candidate, he might be leading the conversation. Baker Money Mayfield. I feel like every week I keep on bringing Baker Mayfield up. I keep on saying Baker Money Mayfield, but I can't help it. He's just too good. I don't write the script of the NFL. I can't say that Baker Mayfield's going to have a phenomenal week every single week, but that's exactly what he's doing. This week now, without Chris Godwin, without Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka got hurt in this game. His star receivers, all 3 of them, out. And what did he do? He put up maybe his best performance of the season against a defense that has looked great against the pass. On this season, Baker Mayfield has 12 passing touchdowns. He has 1 interception. He also has the 4th most passing yards in the league. Baker Mayfield, while leading his team to a 5-1 record, despite playing some really good opponents and some really good football teams. The Baker Mayfield-led Bucs might not only be good in the regular season, they might go far in these playoffs, as there really isn't another standout team in the NFC. The Bucs' one loss came to Philly, but Philly just lost to New York. And the Buccaneers are winning games left and right, and not only winning them, they're doing it while they're injured. Bucky Irving's out. Their top 3 receivers are out. Who comes in? The backups. And what do? They show relentlessness, game in and game out, and Baker Mayfield is able to carry the team on his back. He's putting himself in situations that quarterbacks should not be putting themselves in. He's running the ball like a power back as opposed to a quarterback. And yet he's getting it done each and every week. Baker Mayfield, we learned that not only is he entering the conversation, he is leading the conversation. And he is asserting himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And another quarterback that we learned something about this week, Drake May. Last week against the Bills, we all saw what he did to them on Sunday Night Football. He looked good, and when it mattered most, he looked great. But I had some questions still about him, whether or not that was his breakout performance, or if that was just going to be a week to remember for him. Well, I think we have our answer. Against the Saints, he looked incredible. He threw for 261 yards, as well as 3 touchdowns on the day. He has led this team to a 4-2 record, the 5th highest passing yards in the entire league, as well as a 10-2 touchdown to interception ratio on the season. Drake May, it has not just been 1 week against the Buffalo Bills, and it has not just been 1 week against the New Orleans Saints. It is both of those weeks combined with a very solid first 3 weeks that have gotten him to the point where we can safely say that the New England Patriots have their franchise quarterback. And the final thing that we learned in week 6 of the NFL is that the New York Jets cannot be trusted. This offense is hard to watch. If any of you woke up for that 9:30 international game against the Denver Broncos, you saw their defense held the Broncos to just 13 points. The Broncos offense did not win this game. It was their defense and the fact that the New York Jets offense has nothing to rely on. Their offense passed for negative yards. The New York Jets on the day put up an abysmal -10 passing yards and on the ground 92, making their total yards on the day 82 yards. Meanwhile, the Broncos didn't look great either, but the Jets looked worse. They are the only winless team in the NFL. They had chances to win this game, and they couldn't pull through when it mattered most. The New York Jets, we learned that they cannot be trusted. If you're a fan of the Jets, if you watch the Jets, or if you're betting on the Jets, I have one thing to say to you. God bless you. So what we're able to take away from the NFL Week 6 is that we have MVP candidates who are starting to finally assert themselves into the conversation. We have teams that are surprising us left and right, both good and bad. And now we head into the NHL to take a look at how this first week went for some teams. We're going to start off hot and heavy with the Florida Panthers, the reigning back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Everyone was wondering, how are they going to be without Sasha Barkov? Will the rest of their team step up, or will they struggle a little bit without their captain? Well, we have our answer. They're 3-0, and I know that it's early in the season, but they're looking like one of the best teams in the league yet again. They have 5 guys on the season with 3 points or more. They've allowed 2 or less goals in each of their first 3 games, and they're averaging just under 4 goals a game. They have not missed a step as they have soared to 3-0 despite missing their captain, Sasha Barkov. And another team that's looked great so far this season, the Carolina Hurricanes. We know that this team is good. I chose them as my team to make it out of the Eastern Conference and go into the Stanley Cup Finals this season for a reason. Their offense is hot. Their defense and their goaltending has a little bit of work to do, but their offense is the hottest in the league. They're averaging 5 goals a game right now, which is the best in the entire NHL so far this season. And it's come with some surprises. Seth Jarvis is leading the way on this team with 3 goals. Not a big surprise there. Sebastian Aho and Shane Gostisbehere have been tremendous as well, but Taylor Hall has been turning back the clock as he has 2 goals and an assist for 3 points on the season, despite only averaging just under 13 minutes of ice time a game so far this season. So yes, it's early, but right now the Carolina Hurricanes are looking like the best offense in the NHL. And we move over to the Western Conference, where in the Central Division, we had Mikko Rantanen win a game yet again against his former team, the Colorado Avalanche. He put up a game winner against Colorado in the shootout, as the Dallas Stars were able to get the crucial victory over their rival, the Colorado Avalanche. That was something I wanted to touch on real quick for just a second before we jump into the Pacific Division, where I want to tell you about the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken, although it's just been a week, are 2-0. They're undefeated. And who have they played? They've played some good teams. They played against Vegas and Anaheim. Anaheim's a big sleeper team for many people who have been paying attention to the NHL. Anaheim's a team that a lot of people have had going far and maybe even making the postseason for the first time in a long time. And Vegas, who I predicted to win the Stanley Cup. And they beat both of them. The reason for this is not an offensive firepower. It is their defense. More specifically, their goaltending. Joey Daccord has 2 wins in 2 games, allowing just 1 goal per game. And even though we're just 2 games into the season, Matty Beniers already has a goal and 2 assists. If he can continue to step up, that alongside with a solid goalie duo can make for a big problem in this division. And the last thing that I have to mention about week 1 is the San Jose Sharks versus the Vegas Golden Knights. This was a game that San Jose should have won. However, the big problem here was the San Jose Sharks at the end of the game. This was maybe the craziest ending to a game that I have ever seen, let alone this season. With just under 2 minutes to go, Vegas pulled their goalie, starts driving it down. Jack Eichel with the puck on the right side of the ice, shoots it from the red line, and Alex Nedeljkovic, what are you doing? He just lets it bounce right past him for a game-tying goal from Vegas. What was that? And if you thought that was bad, just wait till you see what happened in overtime. In overtime, the Sharks are in the offensive zone, but Vegas is able to clear it. Alex Nedeljkovic comes out of the net to clear the puck, but misses, kicks it up for the easy goal from Riley Smith into an empty net in overtime. What did we just see? Alex Nedeljkovic just made his case for why he should be sent down to the AHL. What is going on here? Vegas is just able to take the win from San Jose, make it look easy, and this game is over. Vegas takes the win against the Sharks, who should have had this game settled in regulation, yet they lost in overtime. A pathetic performance from Alex Nedeljkovic in the final 2 minutes of regulation and this possession in overtime. And Vegas was able to walk out of San Jose with the victory. But let's be real, San Jose lost this game. That was pathetic. Tell me down below in the comments if you've seen anything crazier than what we just saw in this game. Tell me, what did you learn about this week in the NFL, and what are you looking forward to next week? Let me know down below. I'll answer any comments that you give. Like if you did, subscribe to follow along each and every Tuesday and Friday. Follow the socials right here, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys on Friday. If you like content like this and want to see more, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to see the full podcast each and every Tuesday and Friday, subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can keep up in the latest in sports each and every Tuesday and Friday.